pair of Republican senators have been raising money on behalf of Senate candidate Herschel Walker, who is facing Democrat Rafael Warnock in Georgia's incredibly important runoff, which will decide, of course, the fate of the Senate. Will we have 51-49 for Democrats, or will the Senate remain split 50-50? That's actually incredibly relevant. And so Warnock, if he ends up winning, that's going to be huge. So that said, according to the Salt Lake Tribune, the help in boosting Herschel Walker is not free, as they found out. Turns out half of the money donated to Herschel Walker's campaign gets redirected to Senators Mike Lee and Representative Burgess Owens. And it actually gets worse than that. Before that, let me get into the details. Tribune explains. A fundraising email sent by Lee's campaign last week is meant to look like he's forwarding a plea from Herschel Walker, warning that the senator that Senator Warnock is actually raising more campaign cash than Walker, and that he needs help. He needs help. Warnock has been drastically outraising him, and we have to pick up the pace. The email from Lee reads, "Please rush a generous contribution to help finish your job and pull off a huge win for Herschel." With a 50-50 Senate, Republicans still have a chance to defeat the worst of Biden's agenda and stop him from appointing liberal judges. Oh my God. This is according to Lee's pitch to potential donors. But if we lose Georgia and the Democrats get an outright Senate majority, there's no way we can stop him. Except for literally the filibuster. But okay. Now, email recipients are sent to a donation website featuring a massive picture of Walker next to a box with suggested contributions ranging from just $25 to a paltry $2,900. A disclaimer says that any donations will benefit both Lee and Walker, but it does not specify how the money would be divided. And again, we find out that it's actually 50-50. That Lee is taking half, literally half. Now, the email from Owens touts Walker as determined to stop the Democrat agenda. Yes, if, childcare, healthcare for people. Yes. America needs fighters like Herschel, who aren't afraid to stand up to the left. He's pushing back against their socialist. I wish. What socialist policies? And running against one of Biden's hand-picked puppets. The email reads under a picture of Owens and Walker. If donors miss a link that says click here for details or to edit allocation, you would not know, according to the St. Louis Salt Lake Tribune, that half of their contribution would end up in Lee's campaign account instead of the money going to Walker as well as Owens' account. If a contributor clicks in the bouncing $50 suggested donation, $25 automatically goes to Lee if no changes are made. If someone decides to donate an amount other than the recommended levels, that too would be split 50-50 unless an extra step is taken to adjust the amounts. An extra step that I'm pretty sure no one does. Similarly, donations made to Walker through Owens' website are also split evenly unless donors change the allocation. So now look, I look at the story. Number one, I think. Number two, Republicans have done some pretty shady things when it comes to donations. But that said, I think the worst still comes from Donald Trump, who literally got in trouble for automatically enrolling people who donate into recurring donations. You had to find and click a button to opt out, which is not easy to find. I mean, think about it this way, right? So you already have the misfortune of being somebody who wants to give Trump money. So you might not be all that smart. Keep it real. Not smart people. They're not sending their best. But okay, if you want to send money to Trump, okay, maybe I'm a little too mean in saying they're not smart. Maybe they're not informed. Informed is better. Okay, so they're not very well informed. Now, you go and make a donation, and then what happens? You it automatically takes the same amount every month, unless you specifically find the button to opt out. That's a problem. Donors had to manually uncheck a box, and the notice of recurring donations was allegedly included only in a fine print statement, according to the New York Times. The news outlet also found that as election day neared, the Trump campaign added a second pre-checked box that doubled a person's contribution, along with new lines of text in bold and capital letters that the paper said would distract from language informing donors on how to opt out of the automatic donation plan. As a result of this chicanery, the Trump 2020 re-election campaign had to issue roughly $122 million in refunds to supporters in 2020. Because they were scammed. They were ripped off. Hey, moron, you decided to give us money? All right, we're going to take you for all you're worth. Oh, yeah. Hey, if you're dumb enough to give to a Republican, why not? You've already said that you're an idiot. And that's how they feel about you, by the way. Now, that said, getting back to this, it's not quite as bad or as blatant, but it doesn't really tell you that you're giving half of your donation to these other Republicans. And then while also claiming that Walker's campaign has been outspent 3-1 by Warnock and 2-1 by outside groups. Gee, if only you would give them all of your donation instead of skimming half off. But as I said, it gets worse. As I mentioned, Trump before is the king of scams. Before he got caught, Trump was keeping 90% of the cash that he solicited for Herschel Walker, and then was forced to change it to 50-50. And that's not even the worst part. The National Republican Senatorial Campaign, the NRSC, the campaign arm of Senate Republicans, they kept 99 cents out of every dollar raised for Herschel Walker, according to the New York Times Shane Goldmacher. 99 cents of every dollar. Oh, you're going to give to Herschel Walker? No, you're giving to us now. Nothing says do not believe in our own candidate more, than taking the majority or even half of the donations to said candidate. That's amazing. Maybe it's because they know it's going to get wasted. After all, it's literally Herschel Walker.
This election is about the people.
It is. Oh, yes. You might as well light your money on fire before giving it to Republicans and do more good. And maybe it would actually do less evil. But like I said, lying to your donors, I know they're Republicans. And maybe I shouldn't care that they're getting scammed. But I do have this really pesky, terrible thing called empathy. I know. It's weird, right? And I look at this, I look at the fact that the right is such a target-rich environment for scammers to operate in, and boy, are they operating. It is almost too easy to dupe right-wingers out of their money. Do it all the time. And I don't know, I just feel like they have the right to know that their own party sees them as suckers. They really do. Easy marks, rubes, hey, dum-dum. Oh, you're going to give your money to us? Oh, we're going to screw you over so bad. Not just with our policies, which benefit the rich, of course, but also we're just going to screw you out of even more money just because we can. It's amazing. By the way, it had gotten so bad that Walker's campaign was like, please stop. We don't have any money. You're taking it all. Yeah, sure, we appreciate the promotion, I guess. But you're taking almost all of our money. We don't have anything to work with. We have consultants to pay. Now, Georgia Representative Austin Scott, according to NBC News, accused other Republicans of using Herschel Walker to capture data and donors for themselves, and urged supporters to donate to Walker directly, according to Fox News. Oh, are they exploiting a black man? Republicans exploiting a black man to get money for themselves? No, that would never, ever happen. Except that it would totally happen. I mean, this is amazing. This is just absolutely, blatant in what they're doing. They're just taking the money and not telling anybody, screwing them over and screwing over Herschel Walker, which they never cared about at all. The only reason they want Herschel Walker is, number one, so they can say, we're not racist. We got the black man. I remember I showed you the video of Lindsey Graham. He's like, well, the Republican Party, well, we can't be racist. Well, we've got a black guy. We've got Herschel Walker. See, automatically, all charges of racism, gone. Gone. You can't say that because we got a black guy. Ridiculous. It's not how that works. But then again, they're actually using Herschel Walker's campaign because they don't believe he's going to win. But if he does, he's only smart enough at this point to sign the legislation that gives himself tax cuts. Because ultimately, that's the point of Republicans, to give their donors gigantic tax cuts and cut regulation for business. Well, that's exactly what Herschel Walker wants to do for himself. And so he'll gladly do it for the donors as well. But anyway, a spokesperson for Lee's campaign, however, had responded and said a separate company handled their online fundraising and believed that the 50-50 split was a default setting. The webpage for Lee's fundraising on behalf of Walker is managed by WinRed, the GOP's online donation platform. Oh, was half the money meant for Herschel Walker going to us? Oh, I had no idea. What are you talking about? No, it must be the default setting. Well then, why don't you give back the money that you had skimmed off the top? Why don't you give it back to Herschel Walker's campaign? Why don't you do that then? If you didn't know, now, of course, they're not going to, because I think they planned it all along. They're going to pocket the money for their own campaigns. Now, that said, I hope Herschel Walker loses. I have no love for Republicans. But if you don't see how Republicans view their voters and donors as nothing more than marks and pawns and rubes for their scams, I don't think anybody out there can actually help you